JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.
Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, jctickets.net, Geico Insurance, Dunaway Furniture, Ocean City Golf Club, RussellStreetReport.com, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Holiday Inn Express, BuyAToyota.com, your official site for Toyota deals. The original Green Turtle, hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
Welcome back. It is the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show right here on Comcast Beach TV, and now this season also on ABC Channel 47 WNDT. Happy to be with those folks, and back on the radio once again for his 7th year as well on Delmarva's Rock Radio, and the strongest Ravens signal affiliate on the peninsula, 93.5 The Beach. Don't forget to check out our radio show here at 11 o'clock on Sunday mornings. Coming to you from the Ravens Room at the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, 127th Street and Coastal Highway in Ocean City. It's Cruiser Week this week. Is that not correct? Yeah. So the Cruisers are back in town, and of course back with us once again for another week. Ravens News 44, give yourselves a hand. And of course, we invite all Ravens fans down to the program. This is an awesome Ravens set here. You got to check it out. Take pictures, food and drink specials. Doors open at 5:30. We've got Ravens tickets we give away, Bud Light prize packages, and hotel stays as well. So make sure to check that out. In fact, one couple won a pair of Ravens tickets and a hotel stay on the same day. In fact, I'm looking at them straight ahead. Lucky ducks there. So who knows? Try your luck. Come on down to the program here. We'd love to see you. Now, I didn't make mention of our last segment, but I am wearing a little orange and black today as well. How about them O's, son? Congratulations to the O's. Headed to the American League Championship Series to take on the Kansas City Royals. Game 1 Friday at 8:07 and then Saturday at 4:07. And then they're back at it, I believe, Monday and Tuesday after a day off on Sunday. So definitely go O's. All right, joining me on the set, I'm Mike Bradley, of course, from 105.7 The Fan and locally on 92.7 WGMD. Bert Talbert is our special guest. He's a professor at Salisbury University, but also played football there as a defensive back in the day with the current head coach, Sherman Wood. Bert, welcome back, sir.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. And Steve Slauson, former coach, Ravens News 44 member, with us as well. And we appreciate your time, Steve, this week. Let's continue to talk about the Ravens game here. They lost to Indianapolis by a score of 20-13. And I'm trying to limit the amount of times I mention the actual team name that they have. But let's talk about some of the woes that the offense had that had not been an issue with this team over the couple of weeks to start the season, and that is sacks. Only 3 sacks coming into the game, and I believe the last 2 games Joe Flacco had not been sacked at all. But clearly they had issues against the Indianapolis team. And James Hurst, the left tackle, who did well against Carolina the week before. Steve, he gave up 3 sacks in the game on Sunday.
It's hard when you're dependent on KO to help you, and KO gets hurt in that game, and he continued to play through it. But Hurst just had his hands full. I think he ended up giving up 3 sacks, and he really just didn't look good. But that's how it is in this NFL. One week you hold your own, and then the next week you get it thrown to you. So, and that really set the tone for the day for Flacco. He's a much different quarterback, as are all quarterbacks, when they don't have the time to step up and find the receivers and survey the field. He was just running for his life the whole day.
John Harbaugh said that some of the sacks were a technique issue. I know there was one play I saw where he had a tight end, I think it was Owen Daniels, lined up next to him. Now, Owen Daniels had someone over top of him, so Owen Daniels took the inside guy, and that's what you're taught, to take the inside guy, because he has a closer route to getting to the quarterback than the outside guy. But there was a free safety that came up, and the play, sometimes the defense just has a good play picked out against your offense, and they weren't really designed to handle it. And basically, James Hurst had to try to peel underneath the tight end, to try to catch a free safety who was coming full speed at Joe, and it just didn't work. And I believe that was a third down play in the red zone that didn't turn out for the Ravens. But you know, Steve talked about, Bert, it's a week-to-week league. We talked about that off air. That is, so just because you do well one week, the next week you could have a pretty tough matchup.
Right, making adjustments too with the new running back tandem. That's a big part of protection, or a big part of leaking out quickly, that quarterback being able to hit you in the flat that takes the pressure off. So if the running backs are new and they're not taking on that rush, helping to chip people, giving the quarterback time, and then releasing very quickly like we saw with Beast Mode and Russell Wilson on Monday night. That play, those types of things make it tough. Flacco himself said they came after us and we didn't make them pay. So that's that game. You want to come after me? Okay, I'm going to make you pay, and that did not happen.
Absolutely right about that. And you know, the offensive line, which has been very good, the Ravens ran the ball. When they did run the ball, they did a pretty good job, Steve, at it. But I did go back. John Harbaugh at the press conference Monday talked about initially the Ravens coming out more in a pass mode than a run mode, and he did say it was the game plan for the most part to come out initially passing because they're a physical team. He wanted to get them running sideline to sideline and chasing them and getting them worn out a little bit that way, and then coming after them with the run. But again, when time of possession skewed 17 more minutes towards Indianapolis, that makes it tough in the game plan.
I was thinking, you know, at halftime that they were going to go no huddle and come out. And even though that's converse to what you really want to do, you know, I just thought it would have been a change of pace and you would have limited the substitutions on the defense. And when it really got down to it in the fourth quarter and they went no huddle, and that's when they ended up scoring their touchdown. I thought if they had done that earlier, it would have forced them to drop back, you know, and then you could have ran on them, then you could have passed under. But, you know, by not doing that, you really let them dictate the flow in addition to, you know, carrying the ball and the time of possession. You really let them dictate the flow of the game.
Now, Bert, let's talk about Vontae Davis. He's the shutdown corner for Indianapolis, and he had the responsibility of Steve Smith, and he did an outstanding job. And the very first play of the game, Steve Smith gets stripped. He only had 5 catches, I believe, for 34 yards and fumbling right away. Certainly was not the impact player he has been the first couple games of the year.
Might have been a hangover from last week.
Yeah, could have been.
He had such a great week, and he was so emotional, and then to come in, and I think he's kind of stepping in as a leader. You know, we've lost some leaders, and Steve Smith is a tough guy, but he's a little crazy at times. You know, and that's good. You want that in a football player. I like it. But if you're that leader and you come out and make that mistake, getting stripped like that, that's bad, and we had to, that kind of puts you in the hole. Now you got to come back out of it. Right. And with all the other things we've been talking about, it makes it hard, and the longer that clock ticks, the more pressure it is.
But it also, Steve, it speaks to other guys needing to step up. Obviously, the Dennis Pitta injury for the year, that hurts, but there are some other guys on this team. We talked about Torrey Smith and Jacoby Jones having a tough time. That Torrey did have a couple of catches in the game, and he wasn't devoid of catches, but you're still looking for a spark from somebody else that you can kind of consistently count on as a number 2 at the wide receiver position, and we don't have that yet this year.
Now, Torrey and Jacoby Jones, and you look at Jacoby, I mean, he had that one nice catch for 30 yards, but, you know, his, you know, and you know, Bart, from fielding punts in college, I mean, the worst thing you can do is let the ball bounce. You know, if you're a punt returner and you do nothing else but raise your hand and say fair catch and catch the ball, you know, you save us 20 yards. But by, oh, should I catch? Oh, I don't know. Bang, the ball hits him. You know, and even if it didn't, if it was close enough,
I don't think it did, but
you know, exactly. But you know, you're playing in Indy; they're going to give him the call. So you know, he had to catch that ball. But you know, he's so snake bitten right now. I mean, and he's been passed by Marlon Brown on the depth chart. So you know, you look at both. You know, he and Torrey Smith, I mean, those guys could be in witness protection right now. I mean, you just haven't seen them for the entire year.
Go ahead,
I was listening to Buck's listening to Buck Showalter. Buck Showalter today was talking about one of the Super Bowls. Parcells called him today, and he was saying that the most valuable player in one of the Super Bowls, I think it was the second one, was the punt returner. Didn't have a whole lot of punts returned. But in those windy conditions on that hard surface, he said every punt that bounced, we lost 20 yards. And I told him before that game, don't you let one bounce. And it was tough windy conditions, great punts, a lot of pressure. He called every single one, and he said that was my MVP of that Super Bowl. Buck was making a discussion about how his team is playing well together and each man is stepping up. And sometimes you see the flashy ones, but you miss the real key things like you're talking about. A small mistake like that, too many mistakes.
No, you're absolutely right. Let's hope that that 30-yard catch Jacoby Jones did have later in the game, that might be something that starts to build his confidence back. John Harbaugh said at the press conference he thought that maybe Jacoby Jones didn't see the ball at the foot of McAfee very well, and that's why he got a late jump to catch the football. But nonetheless, I think he's snake bit. He's pressing. It's a mental thing, no question about it. But we certainly need his contribution, and Torrey Smith's as well. And Torrey Smith put on Facebook, he said the other day that it's been tough for me on and off the field. I mean, he was very honest about that. So he's clearly frustrated as well.
And I am too, because he's on my fantasy team and he's killing it.
Understood about that. You know, the good thing in this game, Steve, from a running back situation, we talked about that the Ravens did, when they did rush the football, they did a pretty good job. And Bernard Pierce back in the mix healthy, and the Ravens got him back in there. And I know that John Harbaugh is going with the hot hand, but Pierce isn't any sort of doghouse, and he certainly redeemed himself against the Steelers in Week 2 after the Cincinnati game. So he's back in the mix, and they've got a three-headed monster, which reminds you of the 2008 season.
He is back, and I mean, the two runs he had, you know, you were sitting there as a fan going, okay, here we go. You know, we wore him down with the two other backs, and now we have him coming, and then we didn't give him the ball, you know, for the rest of the game. So, and you know, I think it's sort of starting to get to them with the rotation. Nobody knows when they're up, and nobody's saying anything, but you can sort of tell by, you know, the way they're looking on the bench that, you know, they're like, okay, this is fun, but, you know, I want to be the man. You know, eventually it's going to come down to, you know, who really wants to do it. And, you know, Forset's been more than they thought he was going to be. You know, his big deal is he's never been able to stay healthy for a whole season, but, you know, hopefully this will be that year. But, you know, Bernard Pierce is used to being the man, and I think he's really ready to go. So hopefully, you know, down in warm Tampa, he will be able to get his legs under him this week.
Well, he was a guy that the Ravens traded up for as well, I believe, out of Temple. Let's go back to the defense for a second. C.J. Mosley, he's making a case for Rookie Defensive Player of the Year. He had a phenomenal game, 15 tackles, 8 solos in the game. He had a pass deflection. He had a quarterback hit, which forced an interception, which, by the way, folks, the Ravens have 3 interceptions, and 2 of them belong to defensive end. How about that? We'll pick up. We've got about 60 seconds, but just your initial thoughts of C.J. Mosley and the season, Steve, that he's had in the game the other day.
I just thought he's come such a long way, but, you know, and even you look at him now, I mean, the one touchdown he got fooled on, you know, but he's learning so fast, and he's picking stuff up, and the big good thing about him is he doesn't make the same mistake twice, so I think he's really coming a long way.
Yeah, and just Burr quickly, he's a guy out of Alabama that's certainly making the Crimson Tide proud.
I graduated from the University of Alabama, so I'm very proud of him too. Now, he is, and when they run that many plays, you're going to have a lot of tackles. But
that's a good point.
You're right. He is tough, and I think, like you say, it's a week-to-week league. And I like this team this year. This could be a preview of the AFC title game. If somebody can beat the Broncos, the only problem is we're 0-7 in Indy, so let's be 1-7 in Indy in the AFC title game.
All right, from your lips to God's ears. More of the Ravens Wrap Show next. Keep it here.
What's this all about?
We're giving Rich the NFL experience of a goal line dive.
Really?
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you could win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Can I make it?
On the internet, yes. Into the end zone, no.
JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.